Hey guys, so I'm just gonna talk to you guys today about what it was like for me to live in a shelter for 2 years. I graduated high school and I completed almost my first 2 years of nursing school in a youth shelter. So, here we go. So, I first did my intake and I think they called me the next week to say a bed was available. And so I got in. Anyways, but I remember I did my intake, and that day when I got there, I have trouble meeting people because some of the people from my high school, because my high school was close by to the shelter actually, and then some people mistook me for someone else, and they're like, "Oh hey, oh sorry, I thought you were my name's Thing, right?" And like, I started met people like that. And so that was like my first day. Second day, it kept happening. Like the rest of the week, pretty much kept happening. And then people start to sort of know who I was, and I start to get adjusted and like talk to people and like whatever. Not that you have to talk to people, because at the same time, like it largely the environment of the house will largely vary on who's there and just the type of residents that's there in general, and also the staff. So some staff is very like engaging, very like they know the youth, they're very close to the youth, they'll like, they make like that extra effort with the youth. Whereas sometimes, some staff are just very lazy and just like sit on their phone all day or whatever else. So it just depends. Like it just depends like who's there. But this particular day, like I think the staff was pretty good, um and just the residents were all like very like, I don't know, everyone just sort of know each other, and like everyone was sort of like this big group, which was I think the only time that it was like that while I was there. Like it's never been as close, I think, as a group as it was at that time. As it was at that time. But anyways, um I've only had like 3 roommates that I really liked, to be honest. And then my next roommate. So here's where it gets more into like the shelter culture. I don't know what to call it. Shelter culture. That's what I'm calling it. Shelter culture. So there's a certain culture and like things that are like polite, unpolite to do, impolite, polite to do. Yes, yes. So like some people would use like the flash on their phone when they got up, depending on when you get up. If you get up earlier than someone else, some places do like wake up calls, so everyone gets up at the same time regardless. But sometimes you have to wake up earlier than your wake up call if you have school or work or earlier or whatever, right? And some people will just dead ass like turn on the lights, like just be like boop, and turn on the light, and you're in the room getting changed, like they're in the room getting ready, and you cannot sleep. Like it's so hard to sleep through like the lights on and someone just like getting changed in the room, because what we put our clothes in, it's like lockers. So you get like these like lockers, and they're like high school like lockers, and basically um they're really squeaky, and they're not like regular high school lockers. They're like lockers that have literally been trampled on, not literally, but you know what I mean, like been trampled on by horses or something. They're all deformed, they're all squeaky, and like trying to open it is so like it just makes the worst noises. So it's impossible to sleep through it, and the door is heavy. The door when it shuts makes a noise. So you know so I had this one roommate who used to turn on the whole lights when she got up, and I remember just being so petty. And I was on the bottom bunk, right? So even though she turned on the light, like there was still, it was obviously bright, but it wasn't like in my face as it would be for her, because she was on the top bunk, and the light was like on right on top of her bed, And the thing is, like, I got up really early sometimes, so I was considerate of that. And, like, I used my phone, like, flashlight to, and I said I went close the night before, like, I started to do that stuff. So, like, just to be considerate. And so, she didn't do that for, a long time. I confronted her about it, and she's like, oh, it's just easier for me to tell. I'm like, no problem. If it's easier for you, then, like, why am I going through that trouble, And so then, I remember I turned on the light, and, like, I think then it sort of, like, clicked for her, like, oops, because, like, the light is right in her face. Like, if she's sleeping, like, there's no room on the top bunk. Like, if you're sleeping, your head is right here, and the light is literally, like, right here. So, sucks, boo, sucks. The rest of the semester, I was getting up earlier than her because that was just how my program was. But so you lost. And the thing is, like, she's very passive aggressive too, so she didn't really get anywhere with, like, conversation and, like, trying to, like, work things out. And and it's really important to, like, learn to be not confrontational, but, like, to be, like, confrontational, to, like, be able to, like, talk to someone, be like, listen, like, this did, like, obviously in a polite way, right? But, like, just be like, oh, listen, this kind of bothers me, can you not do that? Because you're living with people, like, you have to be able to, like, talk to people and to be like, listen, like, for example, so one time we have to do chores. And so I remember I was cleaning up the dining room, and someone left their food on the table. So obviously I'm very upset, and I go to their room. Not obviously, I could have just put away his plate, but I didn't because he always does it, and he's like my child. So I went to his room, and I'm like, doom, 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 doom. And I'm like, whatever. So who opens the door? It's a girl. And I go, because the rooms are co-ed, I go, like, there was a room switch. So meaning someone moved out and all the rooms got switched. Sometimes that happens. Not all the rooms, but some of the rooms got switched. So this guy got switched. And so I seen this girl, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I took accountability for myself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I literally thought you were someone else. I'm sorry. Like, I woke this girl up. Like, I felt so bad because, sleep is hard to come by sometimes. And, like, I literally woke this girl up. And so, she was just upset. She just went back to her bed. But the guy next to her, the door next to her, he was, we were cool, and, like, he came and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, and, basically, like, talk to me, like, you can't do that, like, you have to be considerate of people, and you knock on the door like that, you don't only wake up other, like, you woke me up too, you woke up everyone in this room, right? And I remember being like, I'm so sorry, like, I just felt so bad, because I let my temper get the better of me, but, there's, like, times in both situations, right? There's gonna be times where you're gonna meet two adults who literally just talk to each other, and he was literally just telling me how it is. Like, he literally just told me how it is. Like, you effed up, and I apologize, and that's it. I didn't do it again, right? But then there's also gonna be times where, for example, there's this guy, and he had allergies, and he was going like this. Right? I didn't know if he had allergies. I don't know what he was doing. Like, he was just doing that beside me. I was eating, and, like, it's not like you can take your dish and go eat somewhere else. He could take his nose thing and go somewhere else, but, like, I can only eat there, right? And so I'm like, so at first I was, like, debating whether I should say anything or not, right? Because I don't really know this person. I was like, but okay, let me just tell him. I'm like, hi, I forgot what I said, but I remember being so polite about it, you guys. I remember being very polite. I was like, oh, do you mind if you could just, like, I'm trying to eat, and it's sort of just unappetizing you doing that. And I remember just, like, trying to, like, I don't know, just, I don't know what I was trying to do, but I was trying to be nice. And he went off on me, you guys. Like, he literally started screaming at me, like, I have allergies. Do you want me to die? Like, and me being like, right, I'm like, and at first I tried to apologize, and he kept yelling. I'm like, oh, no. And so I started yelling back. I'm like, he's like, do you know what I could do to you? This, that, and the third. I'm like, yeah, what are you gonna do? Fight me. And I remember staff at the time, like, she was looking through the window and she was just like, the face she gave was so, like, it was so funny. Like, she was just, like, looking like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, what do I do? Right? And I remember just being like, this guy just threatened me. So we're yelling back and forth. He's like, I'm like, are you threatening me? And so, yeah, so we were either gonna take it, like, nicely or poorly, you know, because a lot of the times too, it just happens both ways. People either take it good or they take it bad, right? And at the end of the day, we're all kind of like, not we're all, but like some of us are kind of like family, right? Like, for example, there was this one kid and he was younger, and one of the staff got upset with him for being in the kitchen and was like, you signed a paper when you got, and this was a new staff, and he was like, you signed a paper when you got here saying that if you went to the kitchen, you know, do you want to end up like, just basically like threatening to discharge him. And discharge him meaning like kick him out of the shelter, right? And like, this kid didn't have anywhere to stay. Like, I was so mad because, like, you know what I mean? Like, where was this kid gonna stay? And I don't think people or some of the staff like realize like the consequences for these kids like after. And you know, this one kid, like, it took him a while to get out of his shell. Like, at first he came, he was very quiet, shy, and then after, like, he was, you know, he's finally like, getting adjusted. He was finally like, you know, becoming like, yeah, like, he's finally getting adjusted and like coming out of his shell and stuff. And I was really proud of this kid. And you know, he's threatening him like that, and you should have seen the kid. Like, he was like, oh, sorry, like, right, like, being nice and about it. And I remember just being like, I don't know, I remember just being like, don't talk to him like that, or like, oh yeah. And he's like, okay, so basically the guy was like, why are you doing that? I'm like, because he feels safe here, like, because he finally feels safe. He finally feels like he can trust other people. He finally feels like this is his home. He's getting adjusted. He's trying to finish high school, you know. And like, I'm like, you know, you complain about some of the kids here, they don't like you, they don't treat you well, because at the time people were telling him his food was disgusting. He was a chef. People were telling him his food was disgusting. People were telling him, like, you know, like, being really rude to him. I'm like, you know, and you're wondering why people aren't getting along with you, right? Like, if you just want to do your job and go home, then that's cool. But at the same time, like, not this kid. Don't yell at him, right? And I was trying to say this, and this guy kept speaking over me. And like, if there's one thing I dislike, is that, like, men speaking over me, because no, like, don't, like, what I have to say is just as valid as you have to say. You can wait your turn, like, my love. Like, this is kindergarten rules. This is what we learn in kindergarten. You know, wait your turn before speaking. And I don't know why that rule just escaped him, but you know. So I told him, I'm like, what? Is it because I'm female? Is it because I'm Latina? Is it because the day before I told him, like, about my ethnicity and stuff, I'm like, is it because I'm, but, you know, but the thing that really upset me was, you know, like, this was a kid, like, don't, like, and the thing is too, right, he was black, and like, I just feel like they, like, some people just tend to treat, like, black boys like they're grown-ass men, you know. And I know if it was me 4 years prior and I walked into the kitchen, he wouldn't have talked to me like that. I don't believe that. And it just, you know, this kid, like, if he's watching this, I wouldn't take offense to this, but you know, he's literally like a little brother to me, you know what I mean? Like, he's a boy. Like, I don't mean to say invalidate his masculinity, whatever, like, but he is a kid in my eyes. And to the law. quite frankly. So, and I think that's sort of how my role changed as like I got there. Like I became more of, you know, at first getting adjusted to being adjusted to literally being like, you know, auntie. Like, I don't know. And I wouldn't say it was either a good experience or a bad experience. I mean, I just took what I had and I tried to make the best of it. And I would give that same advice like to anyone. You know, continue on, look for those people who are willing to support you in your goals, whatever they may be. Because I'm telling you guys, nursing school was not easy to do it in a shelter. Some teachers were flexible with me about it, and some were not. Like some teachers literally. I remember I had an exam question on Maslow's law of something, right? And it was just basically the theory that, you know, you couldn't achieve like a higher version of yourself if you didn't have like the basics. And I remember I for the exam question I wrote down like, you know, I could barely concentrate on studying last night for this exam, miss, because I because, you know, the whole thing with the shelter, and I had to move roommates, and I didn't feel safe, and it was just a whole thing. And I remember writing about it and her telling me that, you know, she doesn't usually tell students, but that I got one of the best marks on the exam, and that, you know, she was really proud of me, and that I should have just talked to her because she would have moved my exam. So many teachers like that, and many teachers who will literally hate you for it and try and screw you over and try and get you to fail just because, like, for whatever reason, right? So find that group of people who are willing, or, you know, fight for yourself, advocate for yourself, fight for yourself. And I encourage you all to chase your dreams no matter what situation you're in. And yeah, bye guys.